Okay, a very good morning, everyone. So, welcome to this webinar. We call it KASS, Kijang Academic Sharing Series webinars. Number 6, this is the last for this year's. So, we are very happy to have all of you here. I believe some of our friends are now trying to join. So, we will slowly proceed our webinar today. So today we are lucky to have three speakers talking about creative writing in the digital world, opportunities and also challenges. Yeah, we have Ibu Scholastica Wedowarti will be the first speaker later, and then the second one we are going to have Ibu Purwanti Kusumaningtyas, yeah, as the second speakers. And the third and the last speaker today is Ibu Oki Madasari. She's a writer. Maybe she's now trying to join us, yeah, in a short moments. Yeah. So, welcome again. Warm welcome from our English department here in Faculty of Humanities, Bina Nusantara Universities. We will first start the opening remark. Yeah, today the head of the English department has a parallel meeting, so we are happy to have Ms. Crescencia Jessica as the deputy head of English department to address all the speakers and also the participants. Time is yours, Ibu Jessica.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Akun. Good morning, especially who are in waktu Indonesia bagian Barat here in Jakarta or the surroundings. Also, greetings to all of the participants who are coming from all over the world. Good morning. So on behalf of the head of the department, I'd like to open this last, but not least, of course, the last Kijang Academic Sharing Series, the sixth that we've done this year in the year of 2020. Yeah. We'd like to greet also the speakers and also the moderators. Thank you so much for willing to share and having the discussions with us in our KASS or academic series. So as I've mentioned that this is our last KASS in 2020, of course in hope that we're going to have more in the years to come. We have discussed the power of language, we have discussed MOOC, we also cover multiculturalism and literacy, and then also journeys in pursuing English studies. And just before this, we're also talking about technolinguistics. And today we're going to talk about creative writing in the digital world. Of course, I cannot say much about this because, of course, we have distinguished speakers who will be talking about it, the opportunities and challenges on creative writings in the digital world. We are all forced, at least in this pandemic, we're all forced to face this digital world. Of course, we have been living it, but now we are truly in it and living it. And then to close this, I don't think I'll talking a lot longer. So we'd like to say thank you to all the supports to make this Kijang Academic Sharing Series happen and fruitful. And we are very, very glad that we, among along all the Kija Academic Sharing Series, we have wonderful speakers and then we have wonderful discussions. So we are very glad that we can share and keep doing this in the year to come as well. So sit back, relax and enjoy, and look forward to seeing all of you in the next opportunities. Thank you so much, Pak Kun.
Thank you very much, Miss Jessica, for the opening remarks. So that said, we are ready now to proceed to our webinars. Uh, Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Andreas Akun. Yeah, you can call me Pak Akun. I'm from the English department of Bina Nusantara University. A few things before we start. So we will have three speakers, as I mentioned earlier. Uh, we will end around 12:15. So the first speaker will be Ibu Skolastika, and then Ibu Purwanti dan Ibu Hoki Madasari. About the question and answers, yeah, please address your question privately through chat to Ibu Miss Maria Prawati, yeah. So the yellow highlight there, so you can ask any question so that we can manage the question first before we deliver this to the speakers, yeah. So please address your question once again to Maria Prawati, and then she will forward that to me, yeah, in the question and answer sessions. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, because this is about creative writings and we are dealing with digital world now, so all of us should be free to be creative. So don't be that serious, because when seriousness is there, sometimes creativity get challenged in a way. Yeah. So just feel free. Yeah, you can enjoy your coffee. Yeah, in your homey place. Yeah, and then we'll listen to our great speakers, and then hopefully we can get something fruitful from this morning webinar. Yeah. All right. So let us start. I will introduce the first speakers. Ibu, I just call Mbak ya. Mbak Skolastika Wedowarti SPD MHUM. Yeah. She is a lecturer, yeah, at the English Letters Department, Sanata Dharma University, Yogyakarta. Ibu Wedo has been doing a lot of work in interpretation and translations. Yeah. So besides teaching about this creative writing, translation interpretation is her expertise. Yeah. Including her publications. Yeah. So Ibu Wedo last publications, I'm going to read just one. There are a lot of publications entitled Cultural Translation Strategies in Translating Wordplay, a series of unfortunate events. Slippery Slope was published in International Journal of Linguistics, Literature and Translation last August, yeah, 2020 editions, yeah. And then Ibu Wedo has also been doing a lot of job around Indonesia, yeah, starting from being a translator in British Petroleum in East Kalimantan, and then training coordinators in language services in Balikpapan, still in Kalimantan, and also director of studies at EF Bangka Belitung, yeah, and then visiting lecturer in School of Business YKPN Yogyakarta, and then also instructor, lecturer, yeah, including in the psychology department, and finally she is now based fully in the English letters departments. Yeah. Okay, and there are still long CV, but that is the highlight. So a warm welcome to Ibu Wedo. So
Thank you, Pak Agam.
this is your time to share with us. Yeah, please. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Pak Agun. And good morning, everybody. How are you? I do hope that this opportunity brings us more, not just a kind of talk, but this is a medium of having each other, seeing each other, because this is pandemic, and I really wish to talk directly in front of my beloved colleague in BINUS in Jakarta. So it's almost like 3 or 4 years ago. I've been in BINUS for a certain seminar. All right, and basically, I'm not the expert of creative writing, but what I would like to say today is the what experience or experiences that we've been through so far in the departments of English Letters, Sanata Dharma University, and started 2014. Sanata Dharma, especially the English Letters department, always digitalize the works of the students belonging in the creative writing subject. And I will share a little bit about our experience, what we have been doing so far. All right, so this is the title, Collecting and Digitalizing Wild Minds. So why collecting and digitalizing? Because we do realize that by collecting and digitalizing, we will never what be separated from our students' works. We will be with them. We will keep in touch with them. This is our belief. This is the belief of the department. Yeah, and the wild minds. Why wild minds? Later, I will talk about the wild minds, but let me share you today the nature of the subject itself, yeah, the creative writing as a subject in our department. So this is the compulsory subject in the Department of English Letters, Sanata Dharma, 3 credits, and since this is compulsory, so it's over in semester 5. So the students have to accomplish various subjects before joining this subject, yeah. First is paragraph and multi-paragraph writing, genre writing, and essay writing. Right. And then I will also, this is the wild minds. And why wild minds are worth collecting and digitalizing. All right. So this is the term that I use here, wild minds. Basically, this is the class term or classrooms term. We have this. All right, so I will show you this one. This is the collection that we have. So duodecim kaleidoscope of wild minds. That's why I wrote down the title Wild Minds, because I do believe that the students who joined our class, creative writing, they do have what we call wild mind. Yeah. And I will show you more concerning this. Yeah. Why we always trust the students? Because the students can do everything in relation with our digitalization, yeah, in collection and digitalization. So everything is managed by the students. Yeah, everything is managed by the students, including the preface writing, including everything here. Yeah, as I show you here. So, for example, like this one, this is the Virgin Shade in the Black Hole. This is the title of the collection. It was published in 2016. Yeah. So all students here already graduated from our departments, of course. This one is very important for the students, because we do believe that it can be a kind of added value for the students later in the future. This is also in line with the vision of the departments, that we do hope that, or it is expected that in the future, our students, the graduates of English Letters Department, Sanata Dharma, would be First, writer, editor, yeah, translator, interpreter, even teacher, yeah, even teacher. Now, this can be a kind of added value to the students because they can add this collection to their CV, to their bio, yeah, because it is really expected. And this is a current experience of mine. 2 weeks ago, a few students called me because they would like to have the URL or the link to their work, yeah, to their work, to the collection of their fiction or creative writing. Yeah, here in the department, we digitalize one fiction, yeah. And then the next, we will also digitalize the poem because for creative writing subject, we ask the students to write first is the fiction, and the second one is the play script or the drama script, and the third one is the poems. Now, we digitalize the first, yeah, the fiction. But again, we would like to do the third one, the poem, because for the drama or play script, we also ask the students to write the play script based on the legends, the folklore of Indonesia. So this is again in accordance with what the department believes. Yeah. All right, and I will show you more regarding this. Yeah, this is one of the collection that the students had. So this is the title, and even the cover is also designed by the students. Yeah, I don't think that I should provide the definition of creative writing because this is too general. Yeah, too general. Creative writing is always related to how our mind works, how our hands writes. Yeah. So just like what I could mention before, that as long as we're creative, so we do what we call creative writing. And in teaching this, because this is 3 credits, yeah, 3 credits, so basically more than 100 minutes, yeah. So in teaching, this is also very creative. As the teacher, as the lecturer, I also make myself very creative in teaching this, because I usually only provide theories less than 1 hour, and after that, the students are really free to explore. They can go around the campus, they can go to the cafeteria. Okay, so I only ask the students, so write, and then after that you can go back 30 minutes before I dismiss the class. All right, so basically this is really fun, yeah, really fun. Okay, all right, so I will show you more about this. Yeah, this is the collection that I showed you before, yeah, the Dordesem. So we have like more than 500 pages. Yeah, 500 pages, such a thick book. Yeah, such a thick book. So what the department does is that we provide the students with the ISBN. Yeah, so I compile everything. So I become the chief editor. I compiled everything, but the students do the layout, the students do the cover design, and so on and so forth. All right, so after the ISBN already assigned to the work, then I will go to the library to register for the repository, okay, because this is very important, because it had to be accessed by everybody. Yeah, everybody, not just the writers, not just the learner writers, but also everybody. All right. And we also keep the collection. These are the collections. I got 4 out of many in our library. So everybody could read first in digitalizing it. So everybody can access the e-file, the electronic file. But before the pandemic, the students and also other readers could go to the library and read the books, yeah, the hard file. All right. They also show us how to organize the content, yeah, how to organize the content. Basically, the fictions, the types of the fiction many, yeah, or a lot. For example, we have slice of life, the fantasy, drama, tragedy, mystery tragedy, action, comedy, mystery drama, fantasy drama, crime fiction, and horror. So we had special meeting in order to decide, and also to classify these fictions. So my students and I, we had a very intensive meeting, each group, because for example, like last 2 years ago, before the pandemic, 2 years ago, we had 4 classes. Yeah? I had 4 classes. So I had 4 intensive meetings with the 4 classes, the team. And also I'm very happy as well because some students from Han University, the Netherlands, also joined the class. And they really enjoyed the class, especially the very relaxed atmosphere, because they could drink coffee and they could drink water, soda, and they could bring their own snack, even rice. And some of my students also enjoy the class because while writing, they could still eat anything that they brought from home or they bought from the cafeteria. All right. And this is something that I feel not just an opportunity, but also a challenge, because I teach semester 5 students. They're like 18 up to 20 years old. And that's why I call it wild minds, because they really have wild imagination. Some of my students even brought their laptops to the floor, and they were sleeping, not because really they were sleeping, no, but they're like lying down on the floor, and they felt like, hold on, miss, I need to do this. And some of them even did that under the banyan tree. In Sanata Dharma, we have what we call Beringin Soekarno, yeah. So Pohon Beringin Soekarno in Realino campus. Nah, some of my students also went there in order to get a kind of inspiration. All right. Now, this is a kind of opportunity and also a challenge for me as a lecturer. But again, since I have great students, yeah, semester 5 students who already prepared with the genre writing, also multi-paragraph writing. So I got no problem. I mean, in the classroom or in the class, I got no problem at all in delivering the theories and so on. All right. And then, yeah, this is the very last step that we took. The first is by doing that in the library, and so that if you go to the Sanata Dharma University repository, and then you could here check my name or click my name, and then you can find out these are the works, yeah, out of many works that the students did. Yeah. And again, the alumni could click this and could copy and the link to their bio or their CV. And it is really convenient for everybody, including me, and then the students, the alumni, and also the juniors, the students who are still in semester 5, they could read their seniors' works. Okay. And then, yeah, as I previously mentioned before, there are many advantages of having the digital work, yeah, of creative writing or the collection of creative writing. It answers the questions of how to distribute the works in order to reach wider readership. This is everybody's dream. This is every writer's dream, and also every translator's dream. The distribution of the works is done in order to reach the wider readership. I think my students also want or would like to have more readers, yeah, more readers to reach their works, their fiction. And this is also possible for other students from other universities to access and read the works, yeah. And the next is, it makes the digitalized works easy to be accessed by the learner writers, yeah. In creative writing, it is called learner writers. Yeah, so my students are basically learner writers. Yeah, and their fellow friends and readers in general, and also university. All right, and also it makes the CV tracking process easier for the companies or employers. This is just like what I mentioned before, because in the CV or the bio, they can simply put or write the link there, and then the companies or employees simply can check whether they really write or not, or in the past they were basically writers or not. Yeah, so this is very easy. Now, the next is it makes researchers in literary works easy to obtain data. It is also happening to me, not just the students, but also me as the researcher in literary works, especially regarding translation and also feminist stylistics. Because I use the literary works or the one or two fictions written by my students for my research, my two researches. So here, I am really happy. I'm really happy that I could use the works of my students as the data. And again, in relation with the advantage number one, I do hope as well that in the future, there are more researchers, more translators that would like to translate my students' works so that it could go beyond, yeah, because everything is written in English, but not everybody could speak English. That's why I do hope that there will be two domains here. The first is literature, and the second one is translation. Yeah, because the translators could read and then could translate the students' works into some other languages, not just Indonesian, Japanese, but also other languages. Okay, so the works could go beyond. All right, so, and then I think, yeah, this is the explanation what I did before, that the next advantage is on how to enable the researchers to conduct research regarding literary works, especially the data using the works of the students. Yeah, I did this. So I did this twice. The first is in 2018. This is during HISKI, yes, HISKI in Bangka. I attended, and I attended the conference and presented there. So this is the title: Finding the Voice of Three Learners Writers' Poems in Creative Writing Class of English Letters Department, Sanata Dharma University. And then the next, or the second one, is last year. I also used 3 or 4 fictions of my students. This is done like the female character's position in a spectrum of red roses to selected flash fiction, a feminist stylistic perspective. Therefore, again, here in Malacca, I did this in Malacca. I presented this in Malacca. So to me, this is a kind of a blessing, to have creative writing in my department, plus the digital works. And the next is because of the distribution, yeah, and also the how the students create, how the students write the works, yeah, because some domains and also some what we call branch of linguistics also involved here. Yeah, I like studying and also analyzing the works regarding the feminist stylistics. So I could see the ideology of my students here, yeah, especially the female writers, yeah, the female writers. And then I could also find the voice of the students regarding their poems. And also, again, this is related to the ideology that the students have. Okay, I think this is a very short presentation. Akunem, thank you so much. All right. And basically, you could read and also reach my students' works on the address here, on the link that I provided in one of my slides. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Ibu Scholastica, Mbak Wedo, sorry, for a great presentations, yeah, about the collecting and digitalizing the wild minds, yeah. Briefly, I can say that the student wild mind have been well accommodated, yeah, through these great publications, yeah, and sharing through the international seminar and so on, yeah. So thank you. Hope this can enlighten many of our participants today. Yeah, we'll save the question later, so we'll go on first with the presentations. But before that, welcome to Mbak Oki Madasari, one of our speakers has been joining us now. So a very warm welcome from us here. Thank you for making time to join our webinar. Yeah, we'll move to the second presenter first, and then after that we'll handle the time to okay later. Yeah, the last presentation. All right, the second speaker is Ms. Purwanti Kusumaningtyas. Dr. Purwanti Kusumaningtyas is a lecturer at the English Literature Department, Faculty of Language and Art, Satya Wacana University, Salatiga. Yeah, a nice place down there. Yeah. Her research interests include diaspora studies, comparative literature, and multiculturalisms. Her latest article, The Chinese Diaspora's Imaginary Homeland, in the novel by 4 Chinese American and Chinese Indonesian writers that she co-authored with Dr. James Cohens from the Northern Illinois University, is published in Diaspora Studies by July 2020. Yeah. Purwanti also writing poetry and short stories. And her latest publication is a poetry anthology entitled Spawn of Transcendence, published by Satya Wacana Christian University in 2018. This publication was co-authored with a number of young poets. Yeah. Ms. Purwanti also a co-founder of Poetry Planets, an international community of creative workers and scholars. Yeah, so that is a brief biography Bu Purwanti. So now is the time for us to join her presentations. Hopefully we can all enlightened by the presentations. Yeah, you have more or less, I think, 25 minutes, yeah, to try to present. Time is yours, yeah.
Thank you, Pak Akun, for introducing me to everyone. Hello, everyone. I am very happy to see you all here, even though I cannot really see you in person, just see your faces, but I feel, well, glad to have this opportunity to see everyone. And also, it is a great opportunity for me. I feel really honored to be involved in this session, as this is a great opportunity for me to share my idea and to get input, and we can discuss the ideas and we can contribute something to what we love all, to the world of literature. Does my screen show clearly?
Yeah,
okay.
It's clear now. Yeah, can proceed.
Actually, I am always amazed with storytellers. So I imagined myself being one when I was little. I still remember myself pretending I was a shadow puppeteer with my dolls, even pillows, twisted blankets, and bolsters as my puppets, using my bed as the stage and telling stories to my siblings who sat on the floor watching my performance. At that time, I did not know what Mahabharata or Ramayana were, so I made up my own stories. And then when I was able to read and write, I started to write stories and poems. I bought a notebook and wrote my works there. I imagined it was a magazine where my works were published. It is also, I think it is also important to tell you that when I was young, I chose ironing as a part of my daily responsibility because by doing that job, I was able to have time to plot stories in my mind. So I was dreaming while ironing. Even though I hardly ended up with putting those stories into paper, I love the memory of it. I learned that stories are everywhere. It can be on the bed, on papers, and even simply in mind. And then as I decided to major in literary studies, I hoped that I could do what I like more and I had more fun, both academically and in literature. However, what I found was not only stories, but also debates, even disputes about thoughts about what a story should be like and how it should be to talk about story. Furthermore, although it remains fun to learn people's thoughts, I started to keep doubting literariness. What is literariness actually? Why is it so influential that people even severely debate about it? I think it is important to look back the remaining questions about what is literature before I review what literariness is. Literature has commonly associated with any written forms of stories. It can be poetry, prose, drama, or even film. Each of them has their subdivisions that specify the works by their characteristics. Sonnets, haiku, ballads, ode, and narrative poems exemplify a few of notable kinds of poetry. We also can find short stories, novels, memoirs, biographies, monologues, tragedies, comedies, theater of the absurd are also another few examples. Drama films, historical films, biographical films, and adventures are also the list of works to mention. Those limited samples tell us that they continue the storytelling traditions. The difference is the varieties of the media and the forms of the stories. Stories have been a part of human lives. Therefore, in this talk, I will use the term stories, storytelling, literature, and then creative writing, which originally means writing in creative ways, differentiating it from academic writing interchangeably. Stories can be viewed by their forms and functions according to their context. Traditional peoples have told stories orally to transfer their values and norms from generation to generation. We have myths and legends to tell among people. Then we also have kakawin, papat, syair, gurindam, and many more, which did not used to appear in written forms, but told orally from generation to generation. We also had sacred books, used to be orally delivered from grandparents, great-great-grandparents to great-grandparents to grandparents to children and then grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and so on. And also we still can find many indigenous groups preserve the storytelling traditions. For example, Nembang Macapat which is singing Javanese traditional songs. Tembang Mocopat by Sedulur Sikap Community in Pati, Central Java, or Mocoan, one of the examples of the text that they chant is one known as Surat Yusuf, chanting the letter of Joseph by people in Osing, Banyuwangi. As the society grows, people start to change their socio-cultural structure, and feudal society used written records and literature to serve the power's domination over stories, over his stories. So history, it can also contain stories. And I like this term, his stories. His refers to the powerful, the one with privileges. Literate people wrote stories to record their achievements as the kings and the nobles' historical monuments, and to spread their teachings and beliefs. For example, we can have Negara Kertagama, Sutasoma. They were not written by ordinary people. They were not stories created by ordinary people, but they were created by literate people. And if we study the Chinese book culture from the ancient civilization, books have been made and published depending on different interests. Novels, for example, used to be readings for women. And some of the books published under certain dynasty were made for religious purposes, for spreading the religion, for spreading the religious teachings. The term literature continued to be used to place stories into rooms of the privileged and sent away ordinary people. These people with privileges, especially those who considered themselves more knowledgeable than the others, thought that they had the right to define what is good and what is bad to tell to public. Stories become caged, and stories become segregated with parameters that other the unwanted and the unliked, that exclude, that sent away the unwanted and the unliked. Colonial literature produced by the superior, the authorities, controllers, colonizers, excluded the subservient, consisting of the followers and the colonized, who hardly produced their literature. Literature, the specifically written stories, becomes a privilege for the selected people. Let me pause for a moment. Sorry, this is the time when this particular street vendor passed the side of my house, which is right outside the room where I am in. Sorry. Literature was produced to highlight high social position. The literate and the educated can enjoy literature. But those who are not literate and who are not considered educated cannot enjoy what is called literature. Until later, post-colonial literature started to shift the pattern of relation. The ex-colonized wrote their stories. Creative writing or literature becomes the resemblance of power preservation. Literariness, with its varieties of parameters of quality stories, functions as the tool for literary categorization. High versus popular or low. Take, for example, Malay Pustaka versus Chinese Malay literature, printed versus digital literature. In Indonesian literary experience, the publication of Chinese Malay literature in the European colonial years is hardly mentioned in the talks of the development of Indonesian literature. Even though Chinese Malay literature was also published almost at the same time Balai Pustaka published Indonesian literature, but as Balai Pustaka was was a government-sponsored institution, Balai Pustaka had more right to decide which one is literary and which one is not literary. Therefore, Chinese Malay literature, which couldn't meet the parameters of the use of standardized Bahasa Indonesia and the requirement to tell normative topics that highlighted morality and norms, became excluded from Indonesian literature. Chinese Malay literature, with their portrayal of the daily struggles of ordinary people, instead of depicting the wanted circumstances and use of market Malay language, which was not standardized language, was excluded from the quality stories. Therefore, even though Chinese Malay literature contributed significantly to the development of Indonesian publication, that was not acknowledged to be significantly contributing to the Indonesian literature formation. Chinese Malay is almost unknown for those who are not interested in the study of Indonesian literature. And with that said, the rigid application of standards of literariness may resemble the act of differentiation that limits storytelling. It limits storytelling activities, which actually is one of the expressions of human creativity because of labeling. Labeling makes stories unable to freely reach their audience, as they have to follow the boundaries created with the standards. In other words, literary categorization reflects differentiation and historicization. It differs, and it plays what is necessary to the history and exclude what is not necessary outside the history. Okay, so does the discourse of literariness that labels give more benefit than the one that enhance creativity? Does that mean that literariness limits people's desire to tell stories and to listen to stories? What about today's growth of literary publication in the digital world, in the age of disruption? In the present era, digitalization has been a part of our daily life. Everything has gone digital and virtual. Classics are accessible in the internet. Ebooks can be found in platforms such as Kindle and many more. Online libraries are mushrooming. Books and stories are accessible in our smartphones and computers. We can read wherever we are. And not only that, transmedia storytelling enables us to listen to or watch stories from different applications of audio or audiovisual digital platforms such as LibriVox and even Spotify, as well as YouTube, Instagram TV, and Facebook Watch. We can also find games with stories, such as the one popular today, Among Us, in which people can participate and they create their own characters and characterization, making the story grows along the playing of the game. It means that anyone can create their stories, make their animation and films, and post them on social media and share them online. Digital world breaks a lot of boundaries. It breaks geographical, cultural, age, social, and economic boundaries. All is self and other at the same time. So everything is put into digital, put into the digital media. Storytelling, literature, creative writing can appear from all corners and sides of the digital space, regardless the geography, cultures, age, society, economic status. All people can be authors, any topics can be told, and any possible forms of storytelling media can be used. So stories, literature, creative writing functions as expressions of selves with any interests that they have, including personal interests, social, institutional, religious, and any possible interest. So the questions are, what is literariness then in such conditions? What makes literariness now? What belongs to literature and what does not? Why do they belong to literature and why not? I found this picture interesting. This picture is real and was not edited. The stone is real, the trees are real, the soil is real, and the sky is real. Now, the only thing you have to do is to change your point of view and look at the picture upside down. This is the picture when it is viewed upside down. What do you see? Yes, it becomes seemingly different picture from the previous one. They are the same picture viewed from different angles, different perspectives. So learning from that picture and also looking at what is going on in the digital world, I found that the key word to make things different in the world of literature in this digital world is inversion. That has something to do with the perspective, the reverse of perspective. Reverse the point of view, invert the perspective, and we will find new things. Why is it necessary to invert? What to invert, and how do we do it? Firstly, we need to invert to see possibilities that are offered in front of us. A few of the obvious things that the digital world can make us improve, explore, and experiment with our creativity and stories are the possibilities of transmedia and co-media form. I just invented this word because I do not know how to say it in a very few words. I will talk about that later. Maybe later in the discussion, you can suggest a better term to talk about this. Technology provides us with opportunities to adapt a story from one media to the other medium or some other media. It enables stories to reach more audience than the use of single medium of storytelling. For example, LibriVox is a platform of audio literature. Even Spotify now becomes a nice place for young people to tell. They can upload and they can also listen stories. Television, cinema, YouTube are places where we can find varieties of visualization of stories. Even theatrical performances can be easily found in YouTube, Facebook Watch, and Instagram TV, for example. In addition to that, information technology even provides us with possibilities for a co-media form. What I mean with this term is that storytelling becomes possible to use joint media and at the time to create joint forms. Serving the internet, and we can find abundant varieties of creative works. Take Facebook Watch, for example. An account named Fabiosa posts animations of inspirational stories. We can also look for stories in Wattpad, Instastory, even fan fiction, which is following fandom, ebooks, and even games that develop story-based games or game-based stories and whatever you can name it. You can find how forms are joined, mixed forms, and the publication of the works are using joint media. The other possibility is in the methods of publication. Inversion is useful for us to accept different publication platforms. Mainstream publishers are not anymore the dominant ones in the publication business. Many self-publication methods are offered in the internet. Some mainstream publishers start to offer even self-publication opportunities for writers. Take, for example, Project Gutenberg's platform. It used to be a place where classics were digitalized for public access, but now it has its self-publication section where writers can prepare and publish their works by themselves. It equips writers with tools to format pages, print the works in PDF format, and upload it for public. Different platforms offer different services of such combination. With that said, stories are not always printed on papers, go more paperless today, develop more varieties of ideas, forms, and media, and become more accessible for more people. The only hindrance is when the internet connection went unstable or when there is electricity blackout. So it is high time to invert our perspective to reserve our way of doing creative works, as the digital world demands our adaptability to become interconnected, collaborative, inclusive, and multimodal. Digital world requires multimodality. Literacy becomes the key. Media literacy requires our ability to understand languages. Multilingual literacy will be preferable in this case. Technical terms, symbols, written materials, understanding of geographical matters, and many more. As previously mentioned, that the digital world breaks a lot of boundaries, it inevitably requires interconnectivity in many ways. Interconnectivity is inevitable for productive collaborative works. The transmedia and the co-media form processes cannot happen without collaborative works. Collaboration can take place when the world is inclusive. Inclusivity does not simply includes but accepts and embraces varieties and differences. So the next question is, how is it to invert? We can start with inverting the questions I mentioned previously. So instead of asking what literariness is, we can ask, what is the point of setting literariness? We can also ask further, what does literariness have to do with us now? What is literature inclusion and exclusion for? And why do include and exclude literature? Our standards of literariness may not meet what the others need. On the other hand, it does not mean that one set of standards is better than the other. It should go with the next question on how relevant the definition of literariness for us. The next question highlights the ability of literariness to embrace people of different backgrounds. Of course, it cannot please everyone, but at least literariness provides opportunities for more people. The other thing that we need to switch is our view of literary function. These questions may be a reminder for us to always check and recheck what storytelling is benefited for. What is storytelling for? What benefit or disadvantage does the literature give to us? What does the story embrace? Why does the story embrace? Does it improve our humanity? Those questions apply for the writers, the readers, and the scholars. For the writers, whatever we write things that empower in whatever form and use whatever media possible. As readers, we have freedom to select what we like to read. And as scholars, we can study, analyze, and criticize to contribute for improvement. In short, we put storytelling, we put literary works, we put creative writing, and we reverse literariness to return us to the humanistic functions of storytelling. So in conclusion, the digital world has highlighted the prevailing nature of human as storytelling beings, and thus it is time to shift the kind of standardization that historicizes and differentiates into an approving stance to embrace creativity. With that said, creative works are launched freely to find their relevant audience accordingly. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mbak Purwanti, for a very great sharing on the question of literariness today, yeah, because everyone is now an author if she or he wants to, yeah. Okay. Now we have to move to the last speakers. We are honored today, Mbak Oki is with us. I know Mbak Oki, not personally, but through digital platform, of course. We know each other perhaps through first Facebooks, and second through the power of literature. I mean, I took one of her novels, as the subject of my dissertation last time. So that's the power of literature. So we can connect to each other through the works. So we are happy to have Ibu Oki today. I'm going to read a short biography because you can find the complete biography in okimadasari.net. Yeah, there. Oki Puspa Madasari, known as Oki Madasari, is an Indonesian novelist and a PhD candidate in the National University of Singapore. Oki is well known for her social criticism, with work highlighting social issues such as injustice and discriminations, and above all, about humanity. So when I follow Oki's works, most of them talk about the underrepresented group or the marginal group, such as the transgender, for example, and also women's, so we categorize this in literature as what we call multicultural literatures, the literature of the underrepresented group. She has been published and then will go on publishing because she's a creative and also productive authors. She has published 10 books, since 2010. And one of the book, I think, entitled Mariam in 2011, has won the Katulistiwa Literary Awards in 2012. So there's a prestigious awards. Oki Madasari also a journalist, used to be a journalist, when she graduated from from Gajah Mada University in International Relations in 2005, and then continued to the University of Indonesia, graduated in 2014, with the thesis entitled Genealogy of Indonesian Novel, Capitalism, Islam, and Critical Literature, that now has been published as a book, and you can freely download. So I also promote this because this is a good opportunity. I have downloaded the book, very useful, because I joined last week's seminar with Ibu Oki in Jambi at that time, yeah, with Pak Maneke. So I think that's the introductions, yeah. You can know her better by going to the internet. So now time is yours to share with us. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pak Akun. Thank you for all the speaker and BINUS University to help this, to organize this very good seminar. So today I want to present my ideas on creative writing in the digital sphere, in the digital era. This is basically based on my experience as a novelist and also active user of internet, especially social media. So from my real experience, I try to conceptualize what kind of storytelling in the digital sphere. So I put the title Storytelling in Digital Sphere Between Hoax and Algorithm, because if you are following what happened in the digital sphere recently, I'm sure you already familiar with the term of hoax and algorithm. Hoax is any fake news, any lies that deliberately created and then spread in the digital sphere, in the internet. And algorithm is a system in the internet that make us somehow manipulated, and we are not aware that we have been shaped to follow that kind of reality or to be part of that kind of reality. That's because the internet already noticed our habit, our behavior in the internet, in social media. And then our discussion today is, what can we do with the storytelling? What can we do with the fiction or any kind form of creative writing in this state of internet? Okay. So I will start with the definition. What is creative writing? I'm sure you already aware, but I just want to underline it again. So we have, so we can start with the same definition. Creative writing is any form of writing produced with creativity. I mean, the creativity is both in style or in substance, and it could be information, opinion, or fiction. So we don't talk only about fiction here, even though fiction will be the dominant form that we will discuss today. Because when we write opinion that published in mass media, it's also part of creative writing. When we write a feature or a kind of a story about people, about place, it's also part of creative writing. Of course, if you write academic writing, it's not creative writing. But if you rewrite your research into a creative style, as an opinion that can be read by many people, that's a part of creative writing. And then we move to the what happened, what is the digital sphere? We should start with the characteristic. We should, I'm sure we are using internet every day. We are using social media every day, but not all of us could define or could notice what characteristic of the digital sphere. So this is my personal take based on my experience and my reading, that we can recognize the digital sphere and differentiate it with our real life. First, when we talk about digital sphere, this is room for everyone. This is a very, this is basically, initially, this is sphere that open opportunity for everybody that we cannot have it before. Before the internet era, we cannot imagine everybody can say anything, and at the same time, people will hear it. People will know that opinion, will respond it. during before the internet era, we cannot have the power to write easily, to publish opinion easily for mass. We have to depend on the newspaper. We have to depend on the journal, book publisher. But now we don't need that. So basically, it's form of the democratization for all of us to say, to have opinion, to create opinion, to make opinion for public. But and then it also followed with another bad thing. It's normal when everything it started with a good thing, but and then suddenly it's followed by the bad or effect or the risk. So the second characteristic of the digital sphere, it's open opportunity to those who don't want to appear with their original name, their original identity. So it makes it possible to be anonym in the digital sphere, and it means sometimes the user of the internet don't take responsibility with what they say. This is the bad effect of the internet era. And then the third characteristic is about big audiences. Like what I said before the digital era, we always depend on the media to shout out, to make our opinion heard by many people. But now we don't need that. In the Facebook, we can have thousands friends. In WhatsApp group, we can say good morning every morning to hundreds people. In internet, you know that every thing can be easily going viral. So it's very easy to generate a thing to the big audience now in the digital sphere. And then also that kind of characteristic provide the opportunity of everybody to produce story, to produce narrative. So we can see now everyone can, every day when we are active in Facebook not only about the conversation, daily conversation or casual conversation, but it's about anybody try to write a long opinion about national issue, about politic issue, or maybe write story about anything. So this is a time where everybody can produce story or produce narrative. But and then we can see that it also comes with another bad form. There is no curation, there is no editing, and at the end of the day, we can trap in the low quality of story, low quality of narrative. So it comes together, the good thing about the digital sphere and the bad thing. We can see that it's one package of the digital life. But I believe content is content. I mean, no matter how you publish it, you can write your story in Facebook, you can write your narrative in the thread of Twitter, but content is content. So instead of discussing or questioning why we write in Facebook, we write in Twitter, we should focus in what the content is, what the information you generate with the social media, what kind of story you create, and what the quality of your writing. So this is what we can do with the social media, with storytelling. I categorize it into three groups. First is medium transformation. Second is creating new space. Third is claiming the spare. So this is what we can interfere. The social media, the internet, within the place where hoax and algorithm being dominant, we can try to do intervention with this thing, with the three things. First, medium transformation. This is basically we transform what we used to do, or what the old form of storytelling before the digital era, into the new form. So from book to ebook, from bookstore to online bookstore, from the offline discussion in a specific venue, now we can have a Zoom and we can meet without move from our own home. This is part of medium transformation. And we can see how the pandemic COVID-19 is just fasten the future. I mean, maybe we already imagine in the future we will rely on the internet more than before in the future. But and then because of the pandemic, we are forced to do it now. We cannot wait until the next 20 years or in the future, but now. And we can see when the bookstore closed during the pandemic, so buyer only can buy the book from the online bookstore. And from me, who live in Singapore, who live in abroad, when previously I find it very difficult to buy book even from the online bookstore, because I should rely on the courier and then pay expensive fee for the sending fee. Now I can easily read from ebook, and it doesn't make the enjoyment or the information lesson than the paper book form. So as a writer, I really encourage people to, if you can access ebook, yeah, so do reading with the ebook, because and the fact is, one thing I have to say, when you live in the outside of Java in Indonesia, like in NTT, for example, or in Makassar, and then you go to the Gramedia bookstore, you will find that the price of book is 20% more expensive than the book sold in Java. So it's really a real problem that has been existing in Indonesia, but we are always avoiding to talk about this. How can the price of the book is more expensive outside of Java, when at the same time we want the book read by many people across the archipelago? So I think ebook will be the best solution for all of this. Yeah, of course, we still have the problem about the internet connection. We still have the problem with the access into gadget. But while the paperback book still being sold, still being published, we can also have the alternative with the ebook. And then the second form of the intervention is the creating new space. So creating new space means we create the thing that never been existed before. So for the example is the Wattpad. Wattpad is the global platform that provide a place for the storyteller to write story, and then they will get a reader, they can create engagement, and their story will read by thousands or maybe million people. And if you follow the book industry, global book industry, like 50 Shades of Grey or maybe Twilight, it's an example how the stories that started written in the Wattpad then being published as a paperback book, and also being a global phenomenon and adapted into screen, etc. And then the second is Storyal. Storyal is that kind of Wattpad version, but that's Indonesian version. I mean, Storyal adopt the system or Wattpad. It provides the platform where we can publish story and meet reader, but it made in Indonesia. The difference, I think, the interesting about Storyal, it start initiative to give writer benefit money. So if your story can be read by several readers, and then you can get money. Until now, Wattpad still don't have that kind of system. And we can also have a personal blog, content generated media. It's all the platform that we can have it during the internet era and never been existed before. And then the third form is claiming the sphere. I mean, when we talk about narrative, when we talk about story, we also have a belief that reality is shaped by the narrative. Reality is influenced by the information that spread or deliberately created. Even especially when we talk about hoax, lies, when we talk about all the public opinion, it's about how the storyteller try to influence the reality, to influence people's minds. And then why we don't do the same thing? When we use the tool and we use the ability to be a storyteller, to create a writing, to create an information, we should engage with that kind of conversation. We should involve in that battle to influence public opinion, to create, to intervene the reality. So I encourage you to active in social media, to have control with what we see in our social media, because at the end of the day, that's the effort to also control the algorithm. So when we produce information, when we have control to what kind of information we consume, our friend consume, our family consume, and then we also control the algorithm. Not that algorithm control us, but we can create, we can make, we can intervene how the data, how the internet read our habit and our behavior. This is the real example. I use my example. All of my books published by Gramedia Pustaka Utama, and now all the books are available online as ebook, and you can very easily access it at the Gramedia, www.gramedia.com. You can read it from your room. You can read it while you are in the bus and etc. We don't have to wait the printed version sent by the bookstore or by the book publisher. And this is also the fact that in the book industry, we also have the real problem about distribution. Writing book is one thing, and then when we take it into book industry, we depend on the distribution system. We should have like the storage place, gudang, storage to put all of the books, and then we also have to compete with the another books in the bookstore, and it makes it very difficult when your book is not that kind of book that loved by the public. When your book is not genre that is part of the best-selling books, it's very difficult to have a dominant place in the bookstore, to have a long period to be displayed in the bookstore. And yeah, at the end of the day, the book will be returned to the storage, and then we only rely on the online bookstore. So in this situation, we can cut all of the situation by we start to read ebook or we start to buy book online, because we can see how it's very difficult and unfair the system of bookstore is. And I'm a very realistic writer and reader, so I believe that in the very near future, ebook will be more popular than paperback. We do not need to wait for process of printing. You know, during the pandemic, all the printing process has been stopped. So, like Gramedia Pustaka Utama, the largest publishing house in Indonesia, they stop most of the publishing process. They only sell the old book, or they only print 1 or 3 titles, and the exemplar is only less than 200. So it's a really bad situation, because they cannot sell it. They still adapt with the online bookstore system. I can say as a part of the Gramedia Pustaka Utama that the publisher bit late to respond the changing of distribution, book distribution, just because of the pandemic. And then they woke up and they realized that they should rearrange their online system. So, and the fact about the distance, about the price of book in outside of Java, so I believe that ebook will overcome the limit of room and distance. But of course, it will be the government duty to provide us with the good internet. So this is the example of creating new space. This is the page of Wattpad. This is Wattpad. This is the page of Storyal. Now I will talk about publishing in digital sphere. I have mentioned it before. So in the digital era, we don't need to publish it to publish our works with the big publishing house or commercial publishing house. In fact, we can publish, if we still want to have paperback, because maybe it's about our habit, it's about our mind, that we still believe that book should be in the physical form, we can also publish it with our indie publishing or even self-publishing. You know, the thing about the digitalized, about the technology, it also comes with the printing system that make it possible for us to print in the small number of books. I mean, before that era, before all of this thing has been digitalized, we should publish it with the big publishing house, because the cost to publish 3,000 exemplar book will be as cheap as when you publish only 400 exemplar. So you need to publish it in the big amount, big number. But now you don't need that. You can easily publish only 100, 200. So it depends us, and so we can we don't need to wait. We don't need to be frustrated because there is no answer from the publishing house. Even though we already sent our manuscript for 6 months and so on. And no bookstore, I have explained it. No curator, no editor. Of course, it always comes with the consequence. And in fact, I myself, when I have published all my fiction book with the Gramedia Pustaka Utama last year, I started to try to publish my non-fiction book based on my research. genealogy of sastra Indonesia in the form of ebook, and people can get it freely. People can just visit my website www.okimadasari.net and then download it freely. Why I do that? This is part of my effort to intervene the digital sphere. This is a real act from me how to embrace the internet, how to start to become a real player of internet era. And then what happened with my book? It has been viral since I announced it in December 2019. It has been discussed in so many books, and I think there never been a serious book because it based on research, academic research, that becomes so hype and easily to get in Indonesia like my book. Because before previously when we talk about a book based on research, we always have to go to the library of the university, or we have to find the book in the bookstore that sell only specific kind of book. It's very difficult for reader to get it, and I just make it as open access. It just following the trend in our publishing system, in the global publishing system, and the benefit is greater than I just publishing if in the another way. So this is our challenge. This is the question. When everybody can produce anything, the question is not only about uniqueness, but also what kind of story you want to produce and how significant is the story for the people. The challenge is including shallowness. This is not only about storytelling and publishing. It's about the characteristic of internet, of technology, of our current era, when everything can be done easily, and then it sometimes make us trapped in the shallowness. Like our today's generation, it's very difficult to make them sit and read a long form, to make them read book, because there are so many disruption created by visual, by the short message, by the social media. But this is our challenge. When I decided to write a novel, series of novel that can be read by children, this is my effort to provide alternative reading that can be enjoyed by children. So I believe that reading habit should be shaped since the very beginning. And what we have to do is we should provide a good story that can be enjoyed. And the second is instantaneity, because it's very easy to say something and then we just write anything without research, without the need to know the background, without the verification, without questioning whether we understand the issue or not. So everything is become instant. And the third challenge, the biggest challenge, it's not only in the social media, but it is our life. It's populism, where we only think about we should make something that people love. We should make something that can get 1,000 retweet, 1,000 love, 1,000 can get viral. This is populism. This is our challenge. So, storytelling the digital sphere. What should we do? Write story that it wake the people's consciousness. Give people story that it build their awareness on public issue, on problem in our society. And voice of truth of conscience. I believe that within the sea of hoax, the genuine storytelling will provide the truth and conscience, because we don't have political interest. We don't want to use our story to create lies for society. We just want to write the genuine storytelling, and it should bring truth and the voice of conscience. And the third about the storytelling in digital space is it will offer alternative discourse. When we see the social media nowadays, opinion is always generated by those who have 100,000 followers, politician, celebrity. Now, with storytelling, we can offer alternative discourse. And no matter how small it is, it will give people another perspective. It will give audience choice to believe in another thing beside of the dominant voice in the media social. And at the end of the day, this will create new reality, because as a person who learn about narrative storytelling, we are as a reader, as a writer, we believe that all of the reality shaped and created by the narrative and storytelling. So the conclusion is, beating hoax and algorithm is only can be done with the hurtful and considerate stories. And we should do that, because who else? Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much, Mbak Oki, for sharing ideas with us, especially about beating hoax, for example, how to counter this with the narrative that we can produce, yeah, especially in our stories as a part of our creative writing industries. Okay, so now we can go on with the question and answers. So please address your question to Maria Prawati privately so that she can forward it to me. While waiting question, we have already got a few questions here. Let me read first the first questions here. This is for Ibu Wedo, ya, Mbak Wedo, Scholastica Wedo berarti. The question is, do the student have enough time to create the story and revise it in only one semester, since they also have to do other assignments from different lecturers? Yeah, how do you manage this? That's the first question. Yeah, it's more technical things you can share with us. And also, still we have one more question to Ibu Wedo. Oh yeah, the previous question is from Widya Andiani. Yeah, Widya Andiani. The second question still to Ibu Wedo, from Paramita Ayuning Tias. Yeah. Since creativity cannot be measured, how do you grade your student works? So creativity is a kind of fluid. Yeah. You say creative, but I don't say so. For example, how do you grade the student works? So for the time being, we have this question first. Yeah.
All right, thank you for the questions, and thank you, Pak Akun. Well, the first is, yes, since this is the subject. so there's always be a kind of a collision, collision between, say this is creativity and this is something overt, or even this is something compulsory for the departments. But here, what I always do, or plus the students do, is that they actually manage the time, not me. Yeah, they basically manage the time. The first is like what I mentioned before, that I only conduct the class, especially for the theories, less than 1 hour. For the next 2 hours or probably 2.5 belong to them. And they do not come to class for full like 3 hours, no. So they only come to class like, let's say 30 to 1 hour. And after that, they can go anywhere, but still on the campus, of course. Yeah. And then they just can go back like 15 to 20 minutes before I dismiss the class. That's the management, yeah, the time management that my students and I always do so far. And that's really beneficial, not just for the students, but also for the students' time, especially dealing with other subjects, yeah, other lecturers as well. And I think this is also a good point. How I see creative writing and my students' creativity. Yeah. So I do not force my students to be in the classroom for 3 hours. And this is finally, it turns out that this is good for my students because I also ask them to give me feedback. How I manage the class, and this is the way I manage the class. And of course, this is a kind of something negotiable with my students. And based on the feedback of my students, it turns out that they can finish the fiction, because it's flash fiction, yeah, flash fictions. So less than 10 pages, yeah, less than 10 pages, yeah. And this is also the power of the previous the previous subjects like multi-paragraph, essay writing, since they are living with writing. So this is the students of English letters, so they are living with writing. So therefore, they find it not really that difficult to manage the time, to keep up with the subject, and also finish the flash fiction in time. And one more, based on the feedback as well, that the atmosphere in the classroom and also campus also supports us, yeah, also supports us to finish the flash fiction punctually. That hopefully that answers the first question. Now, the second question is how I measure. I never measure my students' work. Yeah, I never measure my students' work. Again, this is a kind of collision, yeah, between something academic that must be measurable, there must be a kind of a rubric and so on and so forth. Yeah. First, I usually just measure from their grammar. Yeah, from their grammar. Because, for example, in poem, we have what we call poetic devices. Yeah, that's all. And for the fiction, I also have rubric. But the rubric does not or should not be like necessarily 100% or 1000%. It should be that way. No, because I never measure creativity. What I measure is the first, something that I can read, something that I can observe. Yeah. The first is, of course, the grammar, because this is English departments, English letters departments. So when people probably write criticism on this, oh, you're so grammar Nazi and so on and so forth. But this is again related to the vision of the departments. The grammar should come number one, of course. And then the creativity, is it coming number two or does it come number two? No, it also comes number one. So both, in both, because we do believe that the discipline, not just the creativity, but also the discipline. Creativity here doesn't mean that these students do not obey the rules, yeah, rules of writing in English. Okay, so that's how I measure the fiction and also other products, not just the fiction, but also the drama script and also the poem. Yeah, and one thing for sure is that for my subjects, yeah, creative writing, yeah, all my students pass the subject, not because they're good writers, but because they're so creative in writing. Yeah, okay. I think it also a kind of lesson for everybody. Or probably people will say that, oh, this is so easy in Ms. Veda's creative writing because every student will pass the subject. No, no. But if you don't write, you will not pass. Okay. If you're not creative, you're not going to go to the next step. Because here, when I show you the collection, this is the best that they could do. Something that I always mention in the very first meeting is that there will be collection and there will be a digital form of your works. So that they work seriously. This is not a threat, no, but this is a kind of offer. This is a kind of offer. I'm not threatening them, no, but this is a kind of offer. They want to show their best through this, okay, through this. Okay, so this is also, to me, that's why I call it an opportunity. Although I know that there must be challenges regarding the time constraints. All right, Pak Kun, thank you. I do hope that anything could answer the two questions. Thank you.
Right, yeah. Thank you, Mbak Wedo. Yeah, it's a great discussion on the questions. Yeah. Now we have the next question. This is for all speakers. Yeah, all speakers. By the way, speaker can ask other speakers. Everyone is free to ask question. Yeah, so speaker can ask another speaker as well. The question is for all speakers. This is from Listia Ayu Saraswati from BINUS University. Ibu Oki Madasari explains about self-publishing on internet that can be done freely by anyone. This statement brings me to the case of fan fictions and their platform, such as Wattpad and the archive of our own. Fan fictions often write about gender and sexuality explorations, a topic that most Indonesians consider taboo. However, I think they are still storytelling worthy. Even worse, some academians take the fan fiction and topic around them as something demoralizations, so that they refuse to write and talk about them in academic writing and discussions. What do you think of these problems? Gender and sexuality identity remain taboo for our society to openly talk about, even in stories or fictions, and for how long this will remain? So this is a quite long question, but I believe the idea is that the internet, the digital worlds now offer everyone to have this fan fiction, but the topic is sometimes still taboo for Indonesians. So what will you say? Anyone can start discussing it based on your experience and your opinions.
Maybe I can start.
Okay, please.
Okay. That's a very good question, because when we talk about fan fiction, basically it's a genre, or I can say subculture that's growing rapidly in the internet era. I don't think there is fan fiction community that grow massively before the internet era, because it will be very difficult. What is the medium, how they can publish or how they can exchange the story. It will be difficult before the internet era. But after the internet era, we can just make the milis. It started with the milis group, or now is a Facebook group or website, or maybe publish it as a Wattpad stories, but basically fan fiction. But first, we should consider that basically fan fiction is interpreting or repeating or writing based on the somebody's story. I mean, writer's story or writer's book, and then it's rewrite by fan, and then sometimes they put another interpretation, or they give another plot, but basically it's based on the somebody's story. So before we discuss about the phenomena, I think we should consider that it's also there is question about the copyright. we should be careful about that. When we publish fan fiction commercially, I think it will be potentially we violate the copyright of the author. So we should make sure that when we write story, there is no violation of the copyright. So basically, because the name of fan fiction, it's not written or it's not made for commercial purpose. It's only for community or it's only for discussion. And yes, because it's only for the community, it's not for the commercial publishing, and then we can write anything. And that's why in the fan fiction, we can find there are so many stories that describe the sexual scene in a very vulgar way, in a very open way that we cannot find it in a mainstream publication. And then, but it doesn't mean that it's demoralized or it cannot be done. I believe that when we talk about writing, when we talk about creativity, there is a room for anything. There is a room for sexuality. There is a room about politic issue. There is room about any sensitive issue. And what will, at the end of the day, it's about how the story will survive and will accepted by the general audience. I mean, if your fanfic is only about sex, it doesn't have a good discourse, it doesn't generate a decent ideas, it's only for your community. That's it. It will not influence anything in the society. It will not provide alternative discourse. It will not intervene the reality. So our discussion now is not about whether the sexuality is good or it's allowed to be written. No, but what kind of sexuality issue you write or you portray in your fanfic. I believe that I'm sure that you do your fanfic in the serious way, it will also provide the alternative discourse. So it will also a challenge for all of you who are the activists of fan fiction. Let's make a good quality of fan fiction, not just for the sake of exchange of between the community. That's my take. Thank you.
Thank you for the answers. Yeah. Okay. Is there any other who want to add?
Can
perhaps?
I also share?
Yes, sir. Mbak Purwanti, please.
Well, thank you for the question and also for the insight from Mbak Oki. That's true from the perspective of the writer. It is important to be a writer that interferes with the reality, and I totally agree with that. My comment will be from the perspective of a reader and also from the perspective of a parent, because usually I view that this kind of reading will be popular among young people, especially as I have a teenage child, and fun fiction can.
Nggak kita ada, Pak?
Sorry. Oh, okay. Hang on. From the perspective of the reader, we are offered with so many things. I think Mbak presentation has shared a lot about hooks and algorithm, and it is high time for us as educators to help people to help more young people, to help our students particularly to be more literate in terms that they are not only able to read and write letters and written symbols, but also to think more critically. That is a part of literacy. With the presence of fan fiction, with the bombardment of any vulgar materials and even untrue information in the internet that everybody can put as well as everybody can find, it is high time for readers to be also surrounded with the environment where their criticality, their more advanced literacy are enhanced. Okay, and I think that everybody being present in this session, the teachers, the lecturers, and also the university students, and also anyone interested in reading, they will be influential people. They can be agencies for bringing up the importance of criticality and literacy. So readers can come to the thought, autonomously think whenever they find readings. They can automatically think of whether the readings are useful or not, whether the readings are empowering or not, whether the reading is discrediting other people or disempowering other people. I think that's the kind of culture that all of us need to build here. Instead of the culture of hate, I am in favor with the culture of peace and love. And we can do that through the activities of creative writing, and we can interfere, like what Maoki said, the internet. And as a parent, it is important if the parents are aware of such kind of literacies, they aware of the significance of literacy and criticality, then parents should be available for their children to help them improving their criticality and literacy as well. So that's my short comment about the question. So what is the mood of fear that the question seems to bring up about demoralization can be slowed down, can be thwarted as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mbak Purwanti, for the response to the questions. Is there a comment from Ibu Wedo on this?
Yeah, all right. Because again, as I mentioned before, my students are very young, 17 to 20. Sometimes they're still 16, yeah? All right. Therefore, they're really living with fan fiction. And sometimes in the class, they also ask me, Miss, how about the fan fiction and so on and so forth. Now, the thing is that I'm really happy to be with the students, with the teenage students, that they can explore anything. However, we also be careful in dealing with the hoax, and also just like what Mbak Oki mentioned before, the untrue information. And then Mbak Tias also mentioned about the how parents have to deal with. And I'm here as a parent as well in the university, in the department. So again, what I would like to say concerning this is that we show our deep empathy. We are with them because as what the spirit, the motivation, also the belief of the creative writing and also any kinds of writing is that we show our empathy to the marginalized people. This is something that I always believe, yeah. And it is also the belief of the departments, and it's also the belief of the students, whether that's the fan fiction or not. But one thing for sure is that when we write and when we read, we always show the empathy and also our motivation and our love to the marginalized people. this is also the themes and also the topics that my students also write in their fiction. All right, thank you, Pak Agun.
All right, thank you. So the keyword is empathy. Yeah, it's very important to, we know we're dealing with this open fan fiction topics. So when we write, when we read, we need to be also careful with that. Yeah, as far as empathy is there, I believe, yeah, everything will be just fine. Yeah. All right. I think we still have one more long questions. We still have 10 minutes. Okay. The question first from Albert. Yeah, he's from Salatiga, I believe. He still need to be convinced about printed book. Yeah, the question is for everyone. So, what is the difficulty to publish our printed book today? Yeah, is there any tip for that? So, Albert still need to be convinced about printed book, yeah, publications. Now, the next question, which is very interesting, from Nabila Aulia, Malang. I would like to ask Ibu Oki Madasari, as a professional writer, considering the shifting trend from conventional publication to digital media, could you please share your opinions and experience in adapting to these situations? Do you experience maybe change of interest in writing? Do you still more interested in writing books, or you give more portion to writing for digital media, maybe blog, and Insta fiction, and so on? So that is the questions. I'm happy that this question quite cover all topic today. Yeah, maybe Mbak Oki can first, and then other can add later on.
Yeah, I will start with the special question for me. So like what I have presented, I believe that content is content no matter the medium is. So my adaptation into this state of the technology is about I embrace all of the platform. I use all of the what technology provide. I use that for my stories. I write book that, for example, I write book and I deliberately publish it online in my own website. It's part of the form of my adaptation into technology. Because if you talk about money or about the benefit from the internet, you see that website, it's also generates income, right? When you have big audiences, when you have a lot of click, and then you can also have opportunity to have to get money. Just like people create YouTube video and then they want people as many as possible to subscribe and to share it, because it provide opportunity to get income. And why we don't use it in the narrative, in the story world? I mean, not only for Atta Halilintar, who has produced the video, but we can also produce story and we can also generate income for it. So I use website. I also use Instagram, social media, but I believe that it should come. All of the benefit only come if we can create the very creative stories. If we can have a very genuine, unique, or impactful stories. Otherwise, our story will just lost in the sea of the information. And it relates with the first question about the difficulties. Technology provides all of the easy ways to publish work. But the biggest challenge is in the time when everybody can write and can produce. So what you offer, what you have to make people interested to your work, what kind of story that make your existence and your story's existence significance to other. So it's about the quality, it's about the deepness, it's about new perspective, new ideas. And of course, that's the biggest challenge because, you know, we are trapped in this instant culture, in this shallow culture, but we can do and we have to do that. That's my answer.
Okay, thank you. That's a elaborated answer to the question of how to deal with the transformation, digital transformation in writing especially. Yeah. Is there anyone who would like to add perhaps? No. Okay. Yeah, I think the time is almost up, and I think other questions have been covered by these discussions. Yeah. So imagine if we, let's say, have lost our capability of storytelling, what will happen to us? Yeah. So our topic today is incredible because we are talking about story, narrative in the face of digital world. So when we, let's say, lose our capability to tell story, to listen, to enjoy stories, I think that's the end of our life. Yeah, because story has that power, yeah, to construct us in a way. Yeah. So if I may conclude, yeah, of course this is not a good conclusion, but try to wrap up all our discussion today. Yeah, I think we need to embrace the digital world with all the opportunities. So first we embrace, but we are also reminded that we have to be truthful, to borrow Mbak Oki's term, we have to be heartful, yeah, in sharing our narrative, yeah. We have to be truthful and heartful to humanity, yeah. That will lead us to quality, deepness or depth of our work, and to borrow Mbak Wedo's terms, yeah, empathy should be placed there in the process of dealing with this digital creative writings. Yeah, and I think that's it. Thank you very much for the warm sharing. Yeah, personally as the moderator, I'm sorry if the process doesn't run that smooth. Yeah, but greatly I'm happy. Yeah, to say that yeah, today is a fruitful sharing for all the speakers. So I will hand back the Zoom room to perhaps the department, perhaps Jesse or Pak Irfan is ready to close.
I think since Pak Irfan is here, probably he has something, a word or two.
Okay, thank you, Miss Jessie. So first of all, thank you again, Ibu Kusuma Ningtyas, Ibu Wedowerti, and Ibu Oki for the for sharing their thoughts, ideas, and experience in dealing with the creative writing, especially in the digital era and digital world or spheres. You know, borrowing Bu Oki's term. So thank you again. I believe this is not going to be the end of our interactions and communications. Ibu Kusumaningtyas, Ibu Wedowati, and Ibu Oki. Hopefully, we will be able to see you again next year because we will have another series of KASS. It sounds like a radio station, but we will have another one next year, and hopefully we'll see you again next year. So thank you again, Ibu Wedo, Bu Oki, and Ibu Kusumaningtyas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Miss Jessie.
Okay, Bapak Ibu, thank you, Pak Akun. I think I'll just take over from here because we're going to have a photo session first. We have 5 pages, so it will take probably 1 minute. Okay. If you don't mind, please open your video so we can have a picture. Okay. And then for a while, please don't drop a chat because it will somehow cover some of the participants who are underneath. Okay. Are you ready? Okay, the first page. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. The second page. 1, 2, and 3. Sorry. Okay, the third page, the fourth page, and the last page. Okay. Thank you. And then I'm going to share my screen and where you can find the exit link so you can scan the QR code or you can put the bit.ly URL. And thank you so much, Bapak Ibu, and all the participants, all the speakers and moderators for joining in. See you in the next KASS of 2021.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, participants.
Thank you.